This hearing, we interrupt programming to bring you breaking news in the murder trial Marc Wilson. Just moments ago, a Bullitt County found Wilson guilty of involuntary manslaughter and not guilty on
Shout out
all
to dark
other
skinned brother
charges
for the
against
super
him. We want
sticker.
to show you a look at those charges that Wilson originally faced. They include felony murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and possession of a deadly weapon to commit a felony. The jury foreperson at the decision was unanimous to convict him of involuntary manslaughter. You may remember that Wilson claimed that he was acting in self-defense when he shot at a truck with 4 people inside. One of those bullets Wilson fired hit this girl here, Haley Hutchinson, killing her. Over the last week, the jury heard from dozens of witnesses and in the end have rendered that verdict. And Wilson was found guilty of manslaughter. That was all. Sentencing is set for September 20th.
Okay. So how many of you remember this story? This is a story I spoke about around the time when it first happened. I believe it was last year when it occurred. I think it was in April of last year. It happened like right in between Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and George Floyd. It happened right. No, it was in the summer. I'm sorry. It was in the summer. Remember what I always told y'all, that in America, it is illegal. It's like it's unwritten somewhere where a black man, now keep in mind, Marc Wilson is biracial. He has a white parent and a black parent. I can't remember which one is which, but just know that he is. In America, it is illegal, like an unwritten document to somewhere that says that you as a black person or black adjacent cannot defend yourself and think you're going to get away scot-free. There are some exceptions, but they are definitely not the rule. Now, they had way more heavy charges on him. Way more. If you saw what they mentioned there, like felony charges. Now, from what I gathered from something I saw on Twitter, the jury came back and had not guilty on every charge that he had on him. But somehow, some way, the judge presiding found a way to still convict him of involuntary manslaughter. Like as you can see right here, jury convicts Marc Wilson on involuntary manslaughter and not guilty on all other charges. They just had to find a way to find him guilty of something. Because there is no way that this man, who, let's be real, could not pass, is going to take out one of America's darlings, America's sweethearts, especially since she was a minor. I think she was 17. For whatever reason, even if she was the one provoking it, it's no way they're not going to let that happen. And he's just going to skate on by and walk away scot-free, even though it was self-defense. Now, for those of you who don't know the story in a nutshell, he and his girlfriend were driving when all of a sudden all these teenagers and all these people in this truck pulled up beside them and started saying all these racist taunts towards them, tried to run them off the road. He grabbed the gun and fired, and the bullet ended up hitting this girl. It's a little bit more to it, but that's in a nutshell what this story is. Janessa Coleman said, "What, he could not stand his ground?" Oh, you didn't know? That I put on Twitter, stand your ground is one of the most anti-black laws known to man. It's very rare that a black person gets the stand your ground law to work in their favor. Very rare. Very, very rare. This guy was defending not only himself, but his girlfriend. But his girlfriend got on code, because I read somewhere where I forgot what she had said, but it was something on code. And I said, you need to ditch her. Well, if you haven't done so already. Now, I'm curious to see what they're going to sentence him to. They said the sentencing is going to be on September 20th, so that's in a couple weeks. But they just had to find him guilty of something. Involuntary manslaughter. You would think that if they found him not guilty on the heavier charges, that this one would be fine too. But they just had to give him some added jail time. They just had to give him some jail time for defending himself. That's why this is why I've said in my videos, and I hate that I have to say it, but I'll say it here. This is why a lot of Black people are scared to protect themselves. Well, not so much protect themselves, but defend themselves. Because they see situations like this, where you'll have someone who will defend themselves or protect themselves, and they still get the book thrown at them in some way. So it's almost like, what's the point? It's like, if I don't do anything, I can die, and the person might get away, or I could defend myself and take the threat out, and I'll still go to jail, or at the very least, still go through a court proceedings to hopefully find myself not guilty, or hopefully get charges dropped. But something's going to happen. Something is going to happen leading up to my true innocence. I keep telling people that is why it's not that Black people don't want to defend themselves. It's because they know this can happen. So they're like, what's the point? Of course, you have some rebels out there like, look, I'll catch the charge. But it's also a life ruining thing as well. Why would you send someone to jail or charge them with something if you know that they're innocent? Kenneth Walker is a very perfect example. This man defended his home when they came in like SWAT, shot up the home, killed Breonna Taylor, his girlfriend, and he shot back and shot one of them pigs. What happened? He gets charged with attempted murder while the other ones get to walk scot-free. Thank God for the most on-code judge on the bench today, Judge Olu Stevens, who saw that case, took one look at it and said, this is absurd, and had all the charges dropped. The fact of the matter is there should have been no charges, period. But again, that goes back to why a lot of Black people are scared to defend themselves. Not because they don't want to, not because they can't. It's because this system will find a way to railroad them anyway. And people want to say white supremacy doesn't exist. People want to say systemic racism doesn't exist. You're looking at an example on your screen. I just gave you an example with Kenneth Walker. Exactly. Stay positive. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's the perfect phrase for a situation like this. They say, oh, you think you're just going to take one of us out and you're going to get away with it? You may have survived physically, but we're going to get you in the system and we're going to kill you mentally and spiritually. So when I see people say, and this is like towards Black people, when I see Black people say, oh, why didn't this Black person defend themselves, or why didn't they do that? Think of this story right here. Especially if it's against another PC person. Think of this story right here. Look, another example. Muhammad Noor. Now, yes, we know he's Somali American and he was a cop, but look at what happened to him. Now, had the roles been reversed, do you think he would have gone through that? Look at the two Black cops down in Louisiana with the white dad and his white son tried to use the vehicle as a weapon, shot into the car, didn't know the boy was in the front seat, accidentally killed the boy, shot him in the back of the head, killing him. What happens? The PC father gets to walk away from this, and the two Black cops get sent to jail. They get fired, terminated, no pension. They get stripped of their uniform and the badge, gun, all of that, and get thrown in jail with an orange jumpsuit. I'm just saying. And the thing is, in that case, the father was the one in the wrong. Like, why was you in a high-speed chase with your son, who I think was 7, in the front seat at night? It's like they completely overlooked the fact that this father was being so neglectful and reckless with his son. And all they focused on was the fact that these two black cops shot into the back window to protect themselves, because the father used the truck as a weapon. He tried to back into them and run them over. But they completely glossed over all of that and just focused on the fact that these black cops shot through the back window and accidentally shot that boy in the back of the head, killing him. That's all they cared about. Just reading y'all comments. Amara said, but every other time if someone is committing a crime and someone dies by a cop, you were charged. The only reason the cop got charged is because they're black. Exactly. You want to know what's so interesting more about that case? That case happened, or that situation happened around the same time that Obama had just signed that Back the Blue bill for that same state, which was Louisiana. That Back the Blue bill literally got released probably about a week or two after that happened. So they wouldn't have been protected anyway. Just wanted to throw that in there. Because like I said, some people forget. I don't.